And welcome back to another episode of the Grippin' and Rippin' Sports Podcast with Stock and Tops. I'm your boy Danny Tops. Chris Stockwell is right here to my right. And Chris, I will let you do the honors today of introducing our guest.
I'm actually surprised that he didn't laugh. We were talking about your intro earlier. This is the good buddy from Chicago. His name's Chris Twidale. And, I've met him like 5 or 6 years ago. We went to a couple concerts together. It was like hella fun. But now he's actually the one that puts on the Last Man Standing contest that we do. It's a big one that all of the friends are in.
Still heard about that, actually. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. Well, hey, dude, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. I think is this the first time that you two have met
officially in person? Yes, because
we go way back.
We do. Because technically we were introduced by you essentially over the internet, and not last year's Super Bowl, but when the New England Patriots played the Philadelphia Eagles, me and Chris went together on some $100 squares back home because obviously I'm from Chicago too. And we hit on those squares for $3,000.
And I just want to mention that he did not want in on it either. So,
I was like, good luck. I've never had luck with squares at all.
Well,
ever.
Neither had I.
Ever.
Just with someone I didn't know.
I'm out. I was more than I was so happy that like two people that I was friends with were able to 100%. be cool to a point where they could go in on a $100 square. And then the fact that like he texted us like the group. With like 5 minutes left in the game, or you like somebody did
less than that, though,
bro.
I think.
I did. So funny story. I didn't even realize until maybe there was 3 minutes left in the game that my square was actually about to hit.
Yeah, me either.
Because it just seemed like so illogical that it wasn't going to happen.
Jacked up because of the I think it was a missed extra point right in the beginning, or it was maybe like a safety even. So right at the beginning, I didn't care. I had a few other minor squares that. I just, whatever, they were smaller amounts. And I just figured, some people were like, you don't even know the guy. Like, do you trust him? I'm like, yeah, he's, through a buddy. Like, why would I not? And you texted me. It was honestly like 2 minutes or 3 minutes left.
Wasn't much time.
I had like 6 coworkers over. We were all just chilling. I was just happy that the Patriots were losing. I was like, as a Bills fan, I hate the Patriots. I was like, whatever. So go Eagles. And then I read your message and it was, so we have 1 and 3. And if the score holds, we win. And I was like, oh my God. And then I ended up standing on my couch freaking out. Like, everyone's looking at me like, what are you doing? I'm like, you don't understand. Major money. Dude, I don't even know. We're trying to win a square. Right. And it came, to your point, I've never won. I mean, maybe a minor one back in the day. I usually get screwed out of squares. And all of a sudden, I'm watching Tom Brady throw a Hail Mary to screw us out of a square. And I'm thinking, like, as a Bills fan, if anybody would take the square away from me,
it'd be Tom Brady. Trust me, I'm right there with you.
And honestly, the worst part was that it was I think he almost caught it. I don't know if it was Gronk or somebody, but somebody almost caught the ball.
One of the plays, those final 4 that the Patriots had, he threw one deep, and he was open.
I was freaking out. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was freaking out, and then all of a sudden, I get the text like, "We won. Yeah, we won.
Dude,
absolutely. We won the final square, the one that you want to win, the big money, like unbelievable."
I was at my buddy's house, and he's a Patriots fan, so this was a Patriots party.
Oh man!
And right when I texted you. Is when I realized it was about 3 minutes to go in the game, and I got up and I said, bro, I can't be in here right now. Because I didn't want to root against him, because, I'm at his house, and I don't have anything, against his squad or the Eagles, so I wasn't rooting either way.
But what you had cooking was bigger than anything.
Bigger than anything that could have been going on.
It was probably the biggest thing in my life at that point.
So I texted my pops, who was back at home watching the game, and I go out into the backyard, and I'm watching through the window. I'm doing this. I'm literally in the fucking window like this and watching the game. Michelle's there with us. She comes out. She's like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, remember those squares that me and Chris's buddy went on from back home in Chicago? We're winning right now. If we don't get this, if Tom Brady doesn't fucking do Tom Brady things, we won like $3,000. So I was freaking the fuck out of it.
It's like everybody I was there wanted a good game, or some were watching for commercials who don't really care about football, whatever. It was a mix of a girlfriend, a wife, whatever. A bunch of people were over, and it was the same concept, but everyone was against the Patriots because one of our coworkers is a hardcore Patriot fan. We always give her a whole bunch of shit for it, and it was the idea of like, hey, go Eagles regardless. Then it turned into, wait a minute, I have 1 and 3. Like, I don't shut up. Like, I don't even care. Like,
we just need the game to end like this.
It was like, you're my manager. I couldn't care about that. I'm on my couch now screaming that I will rip Tom Brady's leg off if he throws this pass, like, because you will cost me the world. And I was like, it couldn't have been better. And then I was like, I didn't know you were like, hey, we won. It's the greatest thing ever. Like,
It was so awesome.
Yeah. So I do know you, but I don't. Like,
It's so it's so crazy that like you guys formed a friendship that way. Like that's
well, and then
where
he,
it like
he
comes
ended up
from.
getting into the Survivor pool.
Yeah,
too,
the
and it
Survivor
was
pool.
like-
I was 9th last year.
So, dude,
Oh, and that was absurd because you did have a good run, but you've even brought, I don't know,
I was-
a good 50 to 100 people in it since you've joined too.
I
so.
was already out, and it was late in the year, and I knew the situation. I'm sitting in bed, not giving a fuck about 10 a.m. football, and I hear fucking Dan come into the house, fucking hot, dude. It might have been only like 11 a.m.
I
And
think-
I think
Who
that the
did you go
game,
out on?
whoever he had, they were already fucked at
Fucking
halftime.
Bengals.
Yeah, and weren't they? They were down like 20 in the first 10 seconds.
I got.
Bengals.
I can tell you exactly how I lost.
Please, because I don't know. I was asleep.
Oh, I know.
I got way too ahead of myself. I was doing so well, and we were down in the top 10. I was really trying to just,
Well, this is for a couple grand. Also, this is
Yeah.
is a big. This is
I
a
mean,
big contest.
So it grew from 100 people to now years later running this 550-ish. So I mean, winner takes home almost 2,000. I think it was 1,800 roughly.
I'm like,
it
what-
pays out 3 places. So even then, top 9, you're going for top 3.
yeah, exactly.
And you're
I'm
the
just trying to get
closest.
in the money,
I'm trying to get five like 1,000 people in it this year.
Yeah.
or we could just up it to $10
Well,
bucks.
Well, even then, I don't think anyone would be against any of that. Like, it will grow. I expect at least 650 to 7. I mean, every year it seems to add 100 now because you get friends, family, coworkers. People's babies are in it, and I'm like, is the baby really? One time, my cousin did have the baby choose, and I think it made it more than my uncle that week. And it was like, that's the best thing sometimes is like, and I think I had said too, for whatever reason, sometimes the people who know nothing and don't analyze anything go further than I'm sitting there calculating why this should happen, and all of a sudden the Browns beat the Saints, and everyone goes out week 2.
And that's what
happened this last year.
That's what ruined me. I think it was week 13 or week 14. I started to overanalyze things a little bit too much. A little analyzation is good.
Well, you
but
deserve to because you're the top. I mean, do the percent. You're the final.
I had only a couple teams left to use. I was really trying to
and that's
save.
the biggest thing is that you can only use
the team
you can
once.
only use every team once, so that you have to kind of like
You're
strategize.
saving
Exactly.
the team, or you're using the team you can win. With,
And I thought the Bengals were gonna be able to pull it out that week because they were at home. I don't remember exactly who they were playing, but they weren't playing the Bengals aren't good, but they weren't playing
Maybe
a
they were
tough
playing the
opponent
Browns.
either. I thought it might have been the Browns too. So I thought that the Browns on the road going into Cincinnati, a rival, Cincinnati should be able to
Maybe.
pull it
I
out.
don't remember
when
who
at
it
that
was,
point,
but-
who'd you have left? Arizona. Random teams you don't want to pick. Like,
Exactly. And I had like the next 3 picks lined up, and obviously went out that week, so that hurt. Nice. Yeah, I was over here that morning like, mother.
You were.
How the
not
fuck does
happy.
Hugh
Yeah.
Jackson or Freddie Kitchens? They know the fucking
Like,
playbook
yeah.
and everything. I was pissed.
I think I sent a text of, oh man, dude, I'm so sorry about like that. I know the pain. And then it was just like, yeah, fuck this, like or something. That's the response. Like,
but I'm coming back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, of
everyone,
course.
This year I'm
that's
coming
what-
back, baby.
Everyone
Everyone's-
comes back with a vengeance. I had someone who went out week 1, and the goal is now I just got to make it past that. Or it's like one time my uncle went out week 1 twice, then made it to week 4, and it was like, hey, I'm ecstatic. Well, and what inspired the whole thing was it used to be run by a family friend through my mom, and he didn't run it too well. It was only 100 people, and it was winner take all. I took second one year, and to take second out of 100 and get nothing, I was just. I
That
was
hurts.
pissed. I think this was back when I was 18 or something, like a good 10 years ago, and it was like, hey, no. So then we took it over, and then let's pay out 3 places. Let's get it from 100 to 150 to 200, now to 5, and then now we pay out 3 places. Maybe if it grows, we pay out 4 or 5, but it all gets paid out. Like my parents run it. You guys have seen it's all locked. Everyone gets to see who picks everybody. You're rooting against the team. Like that.
so
when the Saints
simple.
went out, it was 280 out of the 500. Week 2 went out,
Yeah, that
which
was
percentage
huge.
wise was like.
If you're still in, automatically you're locked. You're like,
100%.
boom, oh shit,
I
I've
got
got
a
action
chance.
now.
Yeah.
Well, and what's cool is
And it happens every year.
You build the connection with these people because it now becomes a community. Like my mom got a text from some woman who lives in Louisiana. She has Saints season tickets, and she was at the game. And she's like, I felt like I was there rooting for the team I picked, as well as the team 280 people out of 560 picked. And she's like, I feel like we let you guys down. But it was this long paragraph. She sent pictures from their seats. But it was like, you wouldn't get that. I mean, we have people that, I think I was telling him, it spans 20 states and 3 countries right now. I mean, that's how much it's,
That's huge, man. That's
coworkers,
crazy.
family. I think the countries are Canada, Ireland, and
The U.S.
the U.S., obviously. Yeah, I forgot about the most important. Jeez. But anyways, and then the states, I couldn't name them, but I mean, it's everywhere. Nevada, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Illinois, I mean, Florida, all over. and it just continues to
Well,
grow.
and this is all for fun too.
Yeah,
That there's
I mean-
there's nothing beyond.
Yeah, you win money, but it's like $5 for a chance to win something you don't even think you'll win, and you're having a blast with your friends. Oh, I beat you, or you're rooting at the end for. I'm just rooting for the people I got in it. Like I have 2 of my coworkers who have won 2 of the years, and it's like, oh, I got you guys in. Like I feel good because you won.
And dude, it's contagious. Like around here, when we're all in it, like we have the conversation, like who are we taking this week? Who are you doing this? And you know, we'll talk about the possible teams that we can take. You know, and I'll also do it with my dad too. I'll call him. I'll talk to my dad and find out what teams
that's
he's
great.
taking. And it creates a good environment for people to discuss.
I love seeing. You'll see if you look at the spreadsheet. Like there's families in it. Like you'll see Adams, Johnson, and it's like mom, like mom, daughter, grandma, you know, brother, sister, and it's the whole family's in. But then what I don't get sometimes is you see people, the entire family picks the Saints. Well, now if the Saints lose, you're all out. You know what I mean? Shouldn't one of you have picked another team just by theory? But I get maybe picking who you think's a lock, but there is no lock. You know what I mean? I never say that. You know, that's the thing. And some people, like you said, you want to save a team, or you get down to the point where you have to take a straight up, I hope they win. But, you know, you got screwed with a bang. I once missed one on a field goal at the end. Sure, Giants should have missed the kick, or they should have made the kick, but they missed it, and I lose.
I think 2 years ago I was down into like the top 20 or top 25, and I lost on I had the Falcons at home against the lowly Jets.
Ugh.
And I think the Falcons were up 14-0, and then the Jets won 17-14 in Atlanta. And that was like, you know, within the top. I was easily in the top 50. That was 2 years ago. That shit broke my heart.
Yeah.
But like, even it goes to show you that it goes to show you, even if you do map this out and do everything to the point that like you're, you know,
weeks in advance. I've picked weeks in advance.
Yeah,
Sometimes like the perfect road
still,
map.
There's still no way to know. There's still no way to know who's going to win the game.
It's the age-old adage, man. It's the best laid plans of mice and men are often go awry. Like, you could map out every week. You could put every single stat down and look at it,
absolutely.
analyze it, and guess what?
Means nothing.
One fumble, one interception, one missed extra point.
One blade of grass has too much water on it.
Well, I mean, it gets to be intense.
like
Squirrel runs out into the field like in Hot Tub Time Machine 2.
Yeah, exactly. But it's intense because then you have to contact. I talked to him about, hey, find this guy and get a pick in, get this pick in. People are texting me, who do you think I should pick? And I'm like, I don't want to help you, but I don't know, maybe this team, you know. But it's like everyone talks about it for the entire length of time you're in, and then everyone follows it to see who wins. Like
It's a great time. I've enjoyed it since you got us into it.
The last man standing pool for NFL. I'm very excited to do that again this
it's
year.
almost here.
Yeah, shortly.
You know, I'm wondering if maybe Dan, we should maybe think about doing something similar through Grip It and Rip It. Not necessarily his, but like something like that. You know,
Stay in mine though.
Well, yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah,
You guys are now in forever.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing is no one ever gets out. I mean, it's never
For $5,
I've
dude,
honestly
why wouldn't I
never
be in it?
heard, except maybe a buddy once who was like, "Oh, I didn't do too well or something. I didn't really follow it," and it's like, okay, you're 1 out of 550. You know what I mean? Like everyone else is
That's
like,
an outlier.
You're doing it again? Thank God. I mean, my parents are retired and it's a job. Like I told him, we planned a vacation around it in October to make sure we were home on the Friday to get picks in, to get the picks out, to watch the games, just because you can't miss a week.
Yeah, I remember that because I'm guessing is it your mom that I ended? Because I send mine through text.
Yeah,
So
it's my mom most of the time. Yeah,
like
sometimes
I get the
my dad.
I get the emails and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get this into
Well,
this
and
number. Make sure that
they're
they
good
get
about.
it.
They reach out excessively. Like I sometimes tell them, like, yo, if people miss it, they miss it. I mean, there's a deadline for a reason.
Yeah.
But they're very lenient. Like, hey, sometimes the next morning we understand, or 1 a.m. whatever, because there's different time zones at that point. I mean, but you do have enough time. I mean, it's,
Yeah, you
it's
got
a
plenty of
pick.
time.
And to your point, maybe on the fly randomly is the best way to go without any thought.
Sometimes it is.
Well, it's
Just
important
go with
too
that gut
that
feeling.
I like that they're lenient too. I had a situation where I had Houston last year. Early in the week, I plugged him in early, and then Deshaun Watson tore his ACL in practice. And you guys let me take that pick back and change my
You
pick
still
in the
have
middle
time.
of the week.
Well, and even then, there's a time people do want to change, or maybe like there was a time I thought someone said something and then it comes out, and maybe I got them confused because I'm getting a lot of texts in too. And if you ever have a wrong one, you can adjust it. There's a lot of the leeway for it. But it's like I have people who are too strict, and it's like, no, it shouldn't be 12:01 and you're screwed. I mean, if it gets in there before the game, it gets in there, but it's just to get the stuff sent out to everybody.
Yeah,
you know what I
exactly.
mean? Because it is locked, so you can see it. It tells you the percentages of who picked who. So you're like, hey, root against this team, root for this team. But it's like a full-time job, but it's the most enjoyable one.
Basically, you want the teams that have the most people on them that aren't your picks
100%.
to lose.
Well, and the one time, I think you were in it. Remember the year we did the losers pool? After week, and maybe it was the first year before.
It might have been the year
but-
before I was
So
in
it was about 4 years ago. For some reason, the Browns, the Jaguars, the the Raiders, all like 5 teams that were bad historically, all won on the same week for the first time in like 20 years. And
Would you have like 10 people left?
it took out 86% of the pool in by week 2. That's what I mean. Like we had such a demand for a loser pool that $5 in, let's start week 3 and we'll do another one. So then we had 2 going on. Now the original one with only 14% still went on till like week 12 because it then got hard, you know what I mean? But then we all had a whole separate one that went the whole way till like week 15.
Did the people that were still in the
So they didn't get a
winner pool,
chance.
did they get an opportunity to join the losers pool too?
Only the people who then went out, or I think we started at week 4 because everyone went out week 2. So only people who then went out week 3 got that chance. So
Okay, so if you were still in it, you didn't get to do
once the
losers
loser pool started, I mean, you were shit out of luck. But honestly, you made it to the top 10% because something is still, and then even the Saints losing, it took 200 out week 2 or 3 again, and that knocked a huge chunk. I mean, you never know what it was against the Browns. Everyone was like, "Hey, Saints at home, it's a nope, it wasn't.
It's a lock. It's a
that's
it's
how
a lock, bro.
And that's how I feel about the Browns. Like one of our buddies in Chicago at a bar that we know is somewhat of a Browns fan, and he picked them week 2 on the fly, or no, week 3 maybe against the Steelers or whatever on the fly. Like, you know what, screw it, I'll pick a team that no one's gonna pick. Only 2 people picked the Browns, and they tied the Steelers that week. And in our pool, a tie is not a win, and you're out. And it's unfortunate, but the original founders, me, my mom, my uncle, we voted, and I was actually outnumbered 2-1. That a tie is not a win, and in the rules it says your team must win to move on. So technically, a tie is not a win, and it's unfortunately happened a few times.
So that's the caveat to this thing.
Yeah, it happens.
If you pick a tie,
But
you lose.
to the guy who picked the Browns, it was just such an unfortunate way to go out for picking the Browns. Like they did everything to beat the Steelers that day, and then
I remember that.
they did
Yeah,
not.
it was a
And
bad day.
he was at the bar so depressed, like just an extra level for no reason in Chicago. Everyone else is rooting for the Bears, and he's like, the Browns lost, and I'm sad. You know, like
But hey, what
they're like,
better
nobody
place
tied,
to
you
be?
know?
What a better place to be though, and then at the bar, 'cause at least
Exactly.
you can get a
Another
drink.
shot, you know.
But did we get your homers, Chris? What are your homerisms? Your teams? Did we get that?
No, so I'm from Pennsylvania originally, but I actually grew up a Bills fan for NFL because I had season tickets growing up. So my aunt and uncle who lived next door, they had season tickets back when like the Bills went to the 4 Super Bowls in a row. They actually went to one of them. My aunt and uncle did, and I was young. I was born in '89, so like I was a little kid through that. I don't remember it. I'd lie if I said I did, except I know I hate Scott Norwood for the rest of my life.
That's understandable.
But now the caveat, everyone says Bills, oh my God, they suck, or oh, they went and lost. Only team ever to go 4 in a row. They won 4 AFC championships in a row. And to be honest, like, yeah, Patriots have won the Super Bowls. I get that. But they also went years after years, and they won. But at least the Bills for those 4 years, no team in the AFC was better than them, and they got to the Super Bowl 4 in a row. They lost. They should have won 1. But they, I think one was they lost to Dallas, for example. So I'm bitter towards that. But no, I was too young. But it was cool that my aunt and uncle were there. They actually were on a magazine at one point about it. And then when they retired to Florida, they gave my dad the season tickets. So growing up, I had season tickets there for a while. And I remember it was the time when they got rid of Doug Flutie and kept Rob Johnson, which made no sense to absolutely anybody. My dad got rid of season tickets. And I'll never forget this because I was probably like 15, 16 at the time, living the dream, going to these games. We had good seats too, everything was amazing.
Did you just go up to Buffalo from Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so where I was from in Pennsylvania,
it's not a far drive.
Well, yeah.
Like
so it was
3
a
hours?
small town it was called Kane, Pennsylvania, but it's like somewhat in between Erie, Pittsburgh, like Penn State University in the woods. So it's basically 2 hours to everywhere. 2 hours to Pittsburgh, 2 hours to Erie, 2 hours to Buffalo. So closest airport, closest sport teams. You're driving everywhere. That's why like there was no hometown team, but there were.
It was a pretty mixed bag.
Whoever was close, but a lot of people rep the Steelers where I'm from, and it makes sense. I've never been a fan. I mean, yeah, sure, they've been good. I was a Bills side of things. So, and no one from where I'm at likes Philly. That's like the other side of Pennsylvania. So it's like no Steelers fan I know is like, hey, go Eagles. It's like nope, 2 separate sides of the world there.
That's good.
Yeah,
You don't want to be a
except for when
fan.
we won the square. That's when I was an Eagles fan.
I was a huge Eagles fan that day.
Well, and it's like
Nick Foles, baby.
So yeah, with the Bills it was great. But back to that with my dad though, I remember he was on the phone that day. The Bills actually called the season ticket holders because they had record cancellations in season tickets because of their choices that offseason. And I remember like on the phone, my dad said, the woman said to him, like, we're sorry, we understand that, people don't agree with our decisions, but, we want to keep you, or we're doing our best to redo the organization, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, it was just a business decision, and, it's what we had to do. And I just remember my dad, like, I didn't hear that at the time until he told me that, and his response to all of that was just, well, so is mine, and he hung up. And I was just like, Dad, but there are tickets, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, I saw great things over the years. One time they played Detroit in the winter, and Detroit fans had towed a hot tub on the back of an RV and filled it in the parking lot to tailgate in a hot tub. And I was
in the snow.
In the snow. I was like, and then I've been
Bills Mafia, baby. They've been doing it for years.
Yeah, a couple of years they were voted the top tailgate one. I mean, I've been there and I've seen someone get choke slammed through a table playing beer pong. I've played flip cup and beer pong. There's octobongs. I mean, it's a party in the parking lot. Like when Willis McGahee left us and then came back a year or two later playing for the Ravens, and he had talked shit on the city, talked shit on the fans. It didn't leave in a good way, so to speak. I mean, the city hated him when he came back for the Ravens. You pulled in that parking lot, and there were jerseys on the ground. People were running over. There was, like, jerseys in a burn barrel at the side. I mean, there were jerseys. People had, like, crossed his name out. Like they were right, like, McGay, he, like, McGay, haha. Like, all these things. Like, and then he got booed so loud at the end of it. But, I mean, it was just such a fun thing because being there as a Bills fan, it's like no matter – oh, I don't know you. No, we're brothers that day, And even for rival fans going there, I mean, yeah, there's shitheads everywhere, but most of the time it's an accepting, like, the Bills aren't good. You're there for a good time. If you're respectful, we're all respectful. It's not like you're going to, like, there's certain places you don't want to go and rep another jersey, so to speak, but it's like usually the Bills, it's a party.
Oakland.
Yeah, right. All right, real quick, baseball team?
A little bit of Pirates growing up was the hometown one to go to, but honestly, switching to Chicago and living so close to Wrigley, I'm Cubs all the way. So.
Terrible.
And you live
anti that.
Okay. And you live right by Wrigley Field?
Yeah, so I live right off Lake Michigan, right in Lakeview, which is right down from Wrigleyville. So a mile and a half to the stadium.
That's
you walk
not bad.
there to the games. I mean, you go all the time with people who know, someone has a ticket to go or tickets drop the day of to go. It's real easy to get tickets to go. It's just insane to see how much the area has changed since the World Series win. I mean, it went from some things around it to now insane things around it just because
everyone's there.
Yeah,
it's the cool thing to do.
So yeah, baseball, it's probably Cubs there. I do side with also the Bears though on football. They've always been my NFC team, and living there in Chicago, I repped them before the new spur of happiness and hope that they have there. But yeah, Bears. And then I guess NBA, actually as a little kid, I always repped the Bulls, who didn't with Jordan growing up. But I had even stayed a Bulls fan through the years after with Ben Gordon and a few of the other players that came through. And I remember actually as a kid writing this little thing, like maybe a few people remember it. It was like Flat Stanley. You read it as a kid back in like kindergarten or first grade. And it was about like this little kid who got ran over by a steamroller and could mail himself anywhere and travel the world. And it was like a question like in first grade, like where would you go, right? And I found this years later because my parents keep everything and you go through stuff as you get older. And there was a thing that I wrote back then, and it was like, oh, I would go to Chicago and watch Michael Jordan and live and, root for the sports team. And I was just like, man, I moved here when I was 23. Like maybe that little kid in me knew something.
You incepted it into your own
so
mind.
I was like, so I guess I've always been a Chicago fan without really being there but living there for 7 years now almost, it's hard not to embrace all the teams there. Like I was never big into hockey till I moved there, so repping the Blackhawks is okay, but it's still not a sport. I never really played it. I played a lot of the other ones. I played baseball growing up, played a lot of soccer growing up. My dad was English, so he used to coach, and I played a ton of soccer. I switched to baseball, played basketball, played football.
Favorite Premier League team?
I have to go Man United. I mean, I do have to go Man United.
Every time you said soccer, so I had to do it. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's one of those things. I played into this, like the point where no one played, and then switched to everything else. But then I did switch to golf after a while because I figured that's the one sport that you can play pretty much your entire life, and even when you get older. Whereas like my knee now is anti playing football and other things, but the golfer in me is like, hey, I'm actually decent. I had a hole-in-one once. So I was like, I can rep that. I bought my dad new clubs on Christmas. We went out Christmas Day a couple of years ago.
That's awesome.
And I got a hole-in-one once. So I was like, he was pissed. He was like, you took the magic out of my clubs. Like, so he was like, get
I
out
haven't
of here.
started playing golf yet.
No, I
You'll get
recommend
there.
it. You got to. Everyone gets there. I mean,
I went and
what
hit
you
some
do.
golf balls yesterday by myself.
I'm
Didn't get better.
actually going to play when I go out to New York next week.
Oh, there you
my
go.
my aunt just opened a golf club course out there.
Oh, well,
that's
now you got
sick.
the in. You have
yeah,
to.
no
so
shit.
I'm going to go golf at least once, maybe.
But
twice.
all right, NBA free agency kicked off,
Insane.
and my
been
God,
a-
has it been I mean, we thought it was the roller coaster kind of died down after the injuries, and we were wrong.
It's been everything that we've hoped that it would be. It's been as advertised as well.
Has there been any surprises that you think that anything that like really surprised you, shocked you didn't see coming?
I'm surprised that the Knicks didn't offer Kevin Durant a max contract. I'm
I do
surprised that
agree
they
with that.
balked at fucking whatever it was, 20 fucking million over 4 years. Like, come on, dude. That's
I'm actually not. I actually thought the Knicks made a good move. I'd actually have to disagree with you. And not in a bad way or malicious. I think that they're making the smart move. We don't know what KD's going to be like when he comes back.
Yeah.
It's hard to invest that kind of money because essentially he's out next year. What was the deal that the Nets gave him for 146?
141, I think.
So
yeah,
essentially you're giving him a 3-year deal for 146 or 141.
Yeah, and there's also probably, I think, is there a player option on the back end of that too?
I don't know. I don't know the.
Even still,
Well,
you know,
I thought Kyrie was going to go to the Nets the whole time. That was just a feeling I had. And then you see KD, and they both go and made a little bit of sense. But
Yeah.
to your point, I thought everything played out the way I kind of thought things would play out. I mean, I kind of at one point was surprised to see D'Angelo Russell go to the Warriors.
That's the big one for me.
Because I had heard Lakers, or I thought it was finalized even. Then I guess it was a trade of some sort, or maybe I made that up. But I know he went to the Warriors.
well, he signed. Yeah, he signed with the Warriors on a max deal, but now he's already being shopped.
Right,
And I
that's
think
what I was
he's
like,
being
that's-
shopped for A. Wiggins right now.
Who is?
D'Angelo Russell.
Oh, they're shopping him?
Yeah. But let's back up for 2 seconds. With him going there, I don't necessarily think that that's even a bad or misfit. Obviously they're not going to have Clay, but I think that he and Steph can coexist as players.
That was the question I was going to ask.
I don't think that that's a situation where it's going to hinder Steph or hinder D'Angelo Russell. They should be able to play off of each other because what do we see? We watched the playoffs heavily and close. The Warriors were excellent at getting Steph open without the ball.
Well, the thing is Steph can play. He could play on ball. He could be primary ball handler, but he actually, I would say, he probably plays better when he doesn't have the ball in his hand, and he lets. I mean, the one thing the Warriors have been good at throughout their entire run is that they're really good at passing the ball and getting people open shots. So in that,
It's true. You can't count them out ever. Even when it made sense to, sometimes it's hard to.
So-
I mean, Steph Curry alone is hard to. The dude does it all. But to your point, did Clay resign with the
Yeah,
Warriors?
Clay re-signed too, but he's out of the picture till at least the
I would say January.
All-Star break. Yeah, I mean
Well,
All-Star
even then,
break.
I thought that was partly even maybe because Russell went there. And now that they're shopping him, I was like, that was kind of my thought in him maybe even staying was, they're bringing him in. We still have people there. Like, I get Durant leaving. That made sense. But to your point, even someone who got injured like that, to give him a max contract, you don't know how he's going to be in 2 years to 4 years. It's intense, but I get it. I'm just interested in, before that I'll say Jimmy Butler. To me, at one point I thought he was going to the Rockets, and I was intrigued maybe James Harden and him there. And then I think it was the Heat he went to, and that was kind of a surprise. I didn't follow it too much. I know he bounced around a lot anyways. Like, I enjoyed him at the Sixers to a point, but I knew he was going to leave. But I didn't know necessarily the Heat, so that was kind of a surprise to me. But I had heard Rockets a lot though.
It's a
the
luxury
Heat is
tax,
a surprise.
like the income tax. They
Income
don't have
tax
it. They don't
thing?
have any in Florida.
So he's just
or
going for
Texas.
the money because Jimmy Butler ain't winning nothing down in Miami. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's got to be it's just got to
well,
be for
I mean,
the money you would
dude,
think,
it's not
right?
just the money. I mean, they've got some pieces.
There's some young.
James Johnson's intriguing. Justice Winslow's kind of still developing, but Pat Riley's there. So
I guess probably what I mean by that essentially isn't necessarily that the Heat are going to be a bad team. It's just in the way the NBA is played nowadays and how we know the NBA works. If you're not on a team with at least one other superstar, or at least an all-star level player, it's going to be tough.
They're
Do it yourself.
they're a playoff team.
Think so?
Yeah,
Maybe
with Jimmy
an 8?
Butler.
What seed though?
Who cares?
Seven.
They're
I
gonna
would
make
think
it 6,
I'd
7.
say 7 or 8
7 or
at the
8.
best I could
Has to
see.
be.
Yeah, but
'Cause, I mean,
there's
Jimmy's a good. He's not a superstar by any means. He's an all-star. He's good. He's going to drop 24 a night probably. Good defender.
I mean, he
But
can fall off a bit, but I mean, he's still going to score some. I
He's
mean,
good.
gonna
He's
be
good
out
enough in the East to get the
Do you think
Heat.
he could carry him by himself though? I guess
Absolutely.
that's the question.
Absolutely.
there. I don't see that.
I don't know if I see it either.
No, I don't see
And
him
it could be
getting
my
injured
own
or
bias
anything, though. I
towards
just-
my dislike of Jimmy Butler, but again, it'll be interesting to see. Interesting for sure. And then if, like you said, if any of those guys that you were talking about take a step forward, and
Yeah.
that
Well,
that could be
James
big.
Johnson's incredibly underrated. He's one of my favorite under the radar players in the entire NBA.
He's good.
I think he's an MMA guy too.
Can we just? And I'm just going to throw this on
Go
record
ahead.
here because, as everybody knows, one of my homers, the Bulls, Michael Jordan, obviously,
Right there.
is he the worst NBA owner in the history of the NBA?
James Dolan might be worse.
Okay, that's fair.
Well,
That's a good point.
Once the lottery came in, I just felt bad for everyone had high hopes for the Bulls at one point until they got their pick, even, and
that's
I
how it
was
always
like, well,
is.
there it goes. I was hoping for 2 for Ja Morant. That was my dude. And then I was hoping at least for 3, maybe 4. Somehow they got 7 or
7
something.
again.
So I like the guy they took though. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm high on that guy, but what is it, Kobe White? I think it is.
Yeah.
I love the idea that he's playing for his dad. He has that humbleness to him. All of that. But I just wanted them to get top 3, top 4, maybe rebuild a little bit. Like
That was the
Life of a Bulls fan.
The Super Lottery was the top 3 this year.
Yeah.
Not
it was. Other than that, no one cared really.
like some years there's 1, some years there's 2, some years there's none. This year there was like, if you land a top 3 pick, like you were getting a
good
transcending player.
But
At least that was the perception. Whether or not that actually happens still remains to be seen. We need 3 or 4 years to.
Yeah, like has Jordan been the owner of the Hornets now for?
It's got to be
15 years?
Yeah, I was going to say over 10.
Almost,
over
yeah.
10, dude.
How many times have they made the playoffs? Twice in those 15 years.
They've also signed Nicholas Batum to a $100 million contract.
Best guy that they ever had was Kemba Walker, who is now gone with the Celtics.
Celtics, yeah. That was interesting. I like him. I always liked him coming out of college, even. I was a fan of.
At least they were able to get a sign and trade done and like save cap space and get a replacement for him because
Kemba is I'd stop me if I'm wrong, but does anybody disagree with Kemba as a poor man's Kyrie?
I could see that. I can get that. I mean, I liked him coming out.
Like,
of
it's a
college.
great
He's done
replacement. If you're losing Kyrie in Boston,
it's a different
it's a good
situation, dude.
replacement.
But they're losing Kyrie and they're trading Rozier for Kemba. I think that it's
And isn't Marcus Morris a free agent too?
he's still a free agent. Yes.
I know he's still out there, I believe, but I mean they'll probably lose him.
So they still have Marcus Smart as the only other real guard there on that team. So then you're looking at Kemba, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, all in the 1 through 3 range.
Yeah. Is Horford signed yet?
Yes. Huh? Cantor signed with the Celtics.
Oh,
That's a decent big
interesting.
man.
And where did
him
Horford
and
sign?
Walker then.
The Sixers.
Yeah, Sixers. Oof. Well, and that's like I was going to even say too. What did you think of DeAndre with the Nets then with KD and Kyrie?
Dude,
is that a good 3?
I'm actually
right there?
I think it's a great
very
three.
solid.
I'm intrigued by it. I'm not going to lie. A healthy Durant, Kyrie.
I'm surprised that he didn't come to the Lakers. I had a strong inclination that he was going to take a minimum. But I guess if you've got $10 million on the table, you'd rather go play with Kyrie.
If you don't
and KD.
have to take a minimum and you're going to go play for a team that should compete eventually when KD comes back.
I think even with Kyrie and DeAndre Jordan, they're
a playoff team
immediately immediately in the conversation for can they press to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I'd put them I'd say top 10 team in the NBA.
And if they get anything from KD,
healthy KD, Kyrie's great. DeAndre. I mean, when you think of a lot of teams who have built around 3 people, I'm okay with those 3 people for the Nets.
Yeah.
And I like them maybe better than some of the other people. Like we talked about.
I agree.
Maybe,
the rest of the team, dude.
Even Durant and the Knicks, and I thought that maybe for a little bit, but I'm okay
Allen.
with him at the Nets though.
Jared Allen's the best center under 23 years old in the entire NBA, I would say. Defensive center, anyways.
How old is Jokic?
Older, but Jared Allen's a much better defender than him, anyways.
I mean, it's not like I said. I put
good,
them top 10.
Good destination for both of them.
I think so.
They're both at weird places.
You want to know which
career.
is another one that I didn't see coming? That I think, and I kept saying that I don't see them as playoff contenders yet. I think that they'll be there over the course of the years because a lot of the young guys. It's the Pelicans, dude.
Right.
That JJ signing is huge for them.
Yep.
More space, more shooting. They got a lot of young stars there.
People to just build.
They're
play,
super
learn.
Dangerous.
Everyone gets that flow. You know what I mean? They all start doing it. Like everyone stays healthy. It's the team of the future, arguably. You know what I mean? Like when you think about it.
Dude, they're going to be.
They did a lot of they made themselves so much better in this Anthony. Like a lot of teams really screw up when they've got a free agent that's going to leave them. The Pelicans were able to turn this into like.
I mean, the draft picks they got were solid. I mean,
dude, they landed like 8 draft picks and 5 players.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of unheard of, really.
And their team's set up to push for the playoffs now,
and
they still have a future for if this were to blow up in their face somehow.
Well, and think of a lot of teams that do have some of the older talent out there, and as some of them do, say, go somewhere else for another year or 2, or some retire, that team is going to be there for what? 8 years?
That Pelicans team?
7 years? 6
they're
years?
Gonna,
10
young.
years?
They're going to be good for a long
Look at what the Spurs
time.
did. The Spurs had a lot of great talent for years. Tim Duncan, Ginobili, Parker.
And they just kind of evolved,
They kept it
right?
for 10 years. I mean, they went from David Robinson to Duncan, kept it for – I mean, they kept the same talent. They won with older people, and they played well with some of the younger people. And they can all keep to it.
I can definitely see the Pelicans now. I'll put them. I put them at a 6th seed. I see them making the playoffs. I think they'll be in the bottom half of the West. Yeah, the West is still tough.
It's still going to be really hard because look at all the teams that
maybe an 8 or a 7.
All the teams that made it this year None of them really got worse except for the Warriors, but nobody's questioning the Warriors not
No one
making it.
can.
And you've got to throw
Not
the,
now
you've
with
got to
D'Angelo.
you've got to throw the Lakers into the
That's
top
true. You
8.
gotta include the
So now
Lakers.
what? How are they going to beat those teams?
I think they just have a really good young
Yeah.
core that if they
They
play
do.
well together, they if they gel and the chemistry is there, I think they could surprise some people. And,
and
you're going to catch some teams that are going
These
to go in
guys
there.
have already all played together anyways.
Yeah, that's true.
For the most part, I mean, with Lonzo and Brandon Ingram and Hart, Lonzo and Zion is like a perfect match. Also
yeah.
for Zion, Zion has to really develop like an actual game,
Yeah.
to where he's not reliant strictly on his athleticism to get everything done. But I don't think he's broken by any means.
No,
So
God.
it's gonna be tough this year, man. It's gonna be really tough this year.
Another team that I got that's going to be better this year than they were last year in the West. I think they actually, I could honestly see them as legitimate contenders. Who do you take a guess? Who do you think is going to be?
Not the Rockets.
Not, oh God, no.
Yeah,
Definitely not the
They're good.
Rockets.
If you're gonna have me take
Definitely got the
one team,
not the Rockets.
one team out of there.
Yeah, I couldn't say the Rockets.
Well, I mean, dude,
at
it
this
could
point.
be it could be the.
And I love James Harden.
So it was the team that didn't make it last year.
No, they made it.
Oh,
I think they made it.
So the Nuggets.
No, I like the Nuggets.
was
I think
thinking
the
Nuggets.
I think the
Yeah.
Jazz
Jazz.
have done a fantastic job this offseason. They are going to be fantastic with that team that they've assembled. They've got size and Gobert. They got a great center. They've brought in shooting with Bogdanovich
To add to Joe Ingles.
to add the Joe Ingles and Kyle Korver. Right? Korver's still there, or did he get sent in that Memphis deal?
He got sent. He's traded. He's not there.
don't know. He's
anymore.
He's
everywhere.
with Memphis now. Yeah, I keep
And I think
forgetting where some of
he
them
actually
go.
might
Now,
get. He might get bought out
the
too.
Jazz last year. I can't remember.
Yeah, you have Donovan Mitchell there too.
Oh, Mitchell. Yeah, he's great.
Like their starting five.
And they
is-
got Mike Conley.
and
Well,
Mike Conley.
I don't see them getting worse. To your point earlier, they could only
Get
either
better
do
with the guys
same
that they
or
brought in.
Improve. I mean, I don't see them being a top 2, but I see them being in the top
They're a
maybe
playoff
4.
team.
You
I
know
mean,
what
is Bogdanovich going to be the 6 man, or is he going to play the 3? Because who goes to 6 man, Engels or Bogdanovich?
Dude, I think you play them at 3-4 combo.
Think you
Doesn't even matter. You're able to play that way with Gobert, man.
That is true. You can just space the floor and let Gobert patrol the paint.
Whatever.
But dude, that shooting with Engels and Bogdanovich, if you
Mm.
do play 3-4 and put Bogdanovich as a stretch, whew,
You Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell.
you got exactly the 5 you want. You got a pass first point guard who can score in Conley. You got Donovan
a
Mitchell, who's just
superstar, like a superstar 2.
Yeah,
Spot
definitely-
up shooters at 3 in the stretch,
and then you got a big ass defensive
Right.
five.
defensive rim
Well, so
protecting center.
Let me ask you this then, I guess, to both of you. Who is
Yes.
your finals next year? At this point, with some of the moves, keeping a few people we don't know where they are, or we think we might know where they go.
Oh, I'll just go real quick, old school. I'll just go Lakers and Celtics, just because that's what I think.
That's interesting to me.
I will go. I'm gonna preface this with as long as Kawhi goes to the Lakers, it's a guarantee. If
Yeah.
Kawhi
That's-
goes,
oh,
it's
that's where I'm
it's
at.
That's what
not
I'm
even
basing
a
it
question.
on,
Where
too.
I'm at.
I think even if Kawhi doesn't go, I'm still gonna go Lakers. LeBron James is still too good.
See,
That's what it is.
Yeah, I just don't want to jump on that wagon, but I'd be hard pressed not to.
Yeah, and
It's
then
really hard when you have the 3 of the top 5 best players in the game on one team.
Yeah, and then in the East, the Bucks.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I think the Bucks take a step
my
forward.
pick for the East was the Bucks because like you said, maybe if a healthy everybody and they can get it together, maybe the Nets make a crazy run out of nowhere, but that would be living on a dream. But I would say the Bucks, and then my thing is Lakers, or I can't rule out Warriors if everyone stays there and they're healthy. They're a team to not say they wouldn't make it.
Well,
but I
it's
couldn't
just gonna
say
be
Lakers.
tough.
The Warriors are running into the same situation where, regardless of them being top heavy, with even a healthy Clay, with D'Angelo, Steph, and Klay Thompson, where it's the same thing we talked about. They've been exposed. They're not deep. They have no depth, and that hurt them
is true.
last year. And for as much as everybody wants young guys to develop quickly,
You don't see it.
Yeah, it can't-
no,
it can't
man.
just
What,
happen
you
overnight.
just
You can't
they're just going to
teach
snap
it.
their fingers,
Yeah.
and all their bums are going to turn into.
Kevin Looney's gonna be a superstar.
Well, and that's even setting aside.
You're
just-
joking.
no, I am joking. That
Okay,
was a
thank
joke.
Well,
thank
yeah,
God.
okay. But
That's,
I mean,
that's a joke.
Yeah,
And,
I was, like,
well,
I was
and
making
that's,
sure.
that's setting aside all the pressure of the finals and the way that making it. I mean, you can learn a little
Dude,
bit.
I was screaming at Dan. Quinn Cook will not win them the finals.
I never disagreed with it.
I know, but that
I
just
understand.
is like the point. That's like the point.
Yeah.
Like all of those guys are Quinn Cook. None of them are Quinn Cook, and Quinn Cook is not good enough to get
Better
there.
question.
Yeah.
And this, we're not gonna, but we could end the episode right after this. You want to know who's winning the championship next year? Where's Patrick McCaw at? Still in Toronto?
Facts.
Then he's winning it.
Facts.
He's got 3 right now, right?
Yeah, I think.
Well, he's gonna have 4
I think
next
Patrick
year.
McCaw now holds the record for most consecutive podcasts mentioned.
Jeez.
Do you even know who Patrick McCaw is?
I don't.
All right,
I'm
he's
gonna be
UNLV's
honest on this
finest.
one.
He was a one and done from UNLV, and he's been on the Warriors for the last 2, and then the Raptors this past year, and he
Just
won
floating by and having
won
fun.
3 rings.
Dude, that's the guy to
and
go
he's
with
played
somehow. I
4
mean,
minutes in like 3 years.
So that is exactly why I do not know who that
He's
is.
passing Jordan.
He is.
Wow.
Oh God, better watch
Slowly.
out. We're gonna
He's
start to argue
slowly.
Patrick McCaw against
He's gonna
you.
try. He's trying to enter into
man.
Robert Horry territory. What is it? Horry got 9.
8 for
8,
sure.
I think, actually.
8
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, that dude, he at least contributed a lot. I mean,
No,
Ori
was a great-
That's the guy I
player.
never wanted to see get the ball because you knew he was making it with
Yeah.
3 seconds left and they'd win the game.
Just
Even
for-
if I wanted him to or not, I would be like,
Just for
Robert
the
Horry.
rings argument, though, just how many rings that Ori won. He was just like, he was just
Unreal.
on like, it's like, oh yeah, hey, we're gonna ship you off here.
Well,
It's like,
this
If I was any other
It was,
free
it
agent,
was,
I would,
it was
I would
the
have
Rockets,
followed.
the Spurs, and the Lakers, right? Those
Yeah.
are the
Those
teams
all
that
3?
he won
Yep.
championships
But
with.
that's, if I was another guy that was out there,
Huh?
I would have.
Yeah, that's the first team I said.
I would have followed suit. I'd have been like, he has good luck. Even this guy, I'd be like, all right, Pat, what is it, Patrick McCaw?
Yep.
I'm following him now. I'm like, let's go. Let's give him a 4th. Let's give him a 5th.
Where are you at now?
If he bounces in free agency, that team's winning it next year.
Dude,
Calling it. Give me the odds on that. I'll take it.
If Kawhi leaves, Patrick McCaw needs to come to the Lakers
Yep.
too.
Well, speaking of Kawhi, do you think there's any chance he does not go to the Lakers? I personally don't want him there. I would love to see him stay in Toronto and just build on this insane thing you're witnessing. But I
ahead,
get
Dan.
him being at the Lakers.
I was talking to JD when I got here about this, and I keep hearing from all the big time talk shows, the Stephen A's, the Chris Broussards. They keep saying that it's almost a done deal. It's almost a
Yeah.
done deal, and I feel like every time I hear that ever in the history,
not a done
it's
deal.
never a done deal. Like I
never a
thought
lock.
after all these names started dropping off, and none of them were going to the Lakers. I thought, well, now they have to get Kawhi because they kind of went all in. On the AD trade, and they had to go through all that extra process to get the cap space to have enough to sign a max player, or they could have, signed a couple of mid-tier guys with that money,
Right.
which they obviously didn't do. So now all their attention needs to be focused on Kawhi,
That's the only person they could target.
and it's just like, why hasn't he signed yet?
Well-
What is he waiting for?
Today, I even saw that he directly asked, did you try to get me before? Did you try to trade? Or he was asking Magic Johnson to see if they were trading for, did you have interest in me? Were you trying to get me? Now, who knows if they'll lie or not, but I'm thinking, to your point, if it's a done deal, why does he care about these little things of were you trying to get me or should I go there? Or Toronto has the movement at all these restaurants, let Kawhi eat for free. The city's letting him eat. He's out there getting the key to the city. He's smoking a cigar. He's winning. The dude has done amazing things to Toronto and to Canada.
But at some point, he's been vindicated though. He won at San Antonio.
Oh, yeah.
He's got MVP.
He's got nothing to
Finals
prove.
MVPs.
Well, and I think wasn't it
He
always
went
his
and-
dream to play at the Lakers or something? I get
Yes.
that.
And-
I can't
And
say if it was
after
my
you've
dream, I
done
would
and proved yourself
I would
and
go.
gotten to the point where you're now a Hall of Fame caliber
Right.
player, you can go back and go home and live out your prime. I don't have any problem with that. at all.
I just like the idea of staying there and you know what I mean. Vince Carter is beloved there and he didn't win, and now Kawhi won. He went there, and it's what could they do if he?
Guess
stayed?
what? If he leaves, if Kawhi leaves, when he comes back, they're not going to boo him.
Oh no,
They're going to give him a
They-
standing
I'm not-
ovation.
Better give him a standing
Yeah,
ovation.
Yeah.
they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't at all. But
He's
it's I
already
would like to
immortalized.
see-
So what else can he? How
could-
much?
could
how much
Toronto
more
build-
immortality can he sustain
Well,
in
just
Toronto?
winning a couple. What if you're that dominant team who keeps winning on that side? Warriors have been that team to continually win. Back in the day, the Bulls won a lot of it. What if Toronto could build around Kawhi and they win 3 titles?
See, what if the Lakers could? All right, so to me, it's not. It's very simple. Who would you rather play alongside? Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam,
No, yeah.
or Anthony Davis and LeBron?
hands down, LeBron.
And at the
I
end
can't
of the
say
day,
that.
when it boils down to it, I think the only reason that we haven't really heard an official "it's done" is just because of the legalities and the little things that they're ironing out. I feel like they're probably maneuvering this contract to underneath the max, to where there's still money for some other free agents to come in. Kawhi's probably on the phone with his agent, who's then on the phone with New Balance, going, "Hey, we're taking less. We're putting Kawhi in, and we're putting Kawhi in a bigger market, a better media outlet." What are you? Is New Balance
need to
New
redo
Balance
the
going
shoe
to foot the bill here? Are we going to get a bump? Are we going to get a raise? Are we going to get stock options now? These are all things that Nah, nobody in the NBA gets these privileges. Very few, very few guys. And Kawhi's in that territory now. It's scary. It's scary. But I think that to the Lakers, that's that. I feel like that's pretty much done.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that that's probably the biggest. I still think it's the favorable option is that he ends up going to L.A. and as our producer just wrote on our board, which is why anytime you ever see anybody do this
We're being
on
instructed.
the show, we're being
I was
told
like, wait a
what to fucking talk about because we're
Something tells
idiots.
me to look that way.
He ponders off into the distance. But yeah, personal medical staff too. Apparently, that's one of the things that Kawhi wants as well. Which I feel like what Kawhi wants, Kawhi's going to get. So
well, and what better
You
team,
only-
to your point, to give it to him than the Lakers?
You
know
only
what I mean?
get this opportunity
once.
yeah,
and
You can't turn.
you know, like LeBron is like an outlier here. Like nobody's in that. Like nobody's in that territory. No one.
for sure.
worst contract.
Anthony Davis isn't even there yet.
No,
You know?
he might never be there.
It's a weird.
Even if he wins in LA, it's going to be
Yeah.
he won in LA because
With
he was with
LeBron.
LeBron, and Kawhi.
and Kawhi,
Well,
right?
and to that point, I mean, Anthony Davis is amazing. I can't say anything about him not being. But
Right.
to your point, he won with LeBron. You know what I mean? Or LeBron helped him win. Or, you know, LeBron's still going to be the star
Yeah,
of the team.
that's never going to be something that Kawhi ever has to worry about.
Like-
There'll be if he does go to LA, there'll never be the stigma of he couldn't win.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it. He's done it twice for two different teams. He's not going to have to worry about it. AD, he's going to have that stigma there. Is it going to be this massive stigma? No, but
I don't buy
he
it.
won't
I
ever
think-
be that. He'll never
Yeah.
get that treatment.
I
that
think
Kawhi's
that
gonna
like
get.
this is actually like shrinking down the importance of if Kawhi were to win 2 or 3 with LeBron here, this is gonna like kind of like narrow it down and take the title aspect out of who's the GOAT now, and we're gonna look strictly more at like ability.
Well, and do you see LeBron like retiring a Laker?
Yeah, probably.
I would say most likely.
Or
If
he
he
goes
wins a
back
couple-
or he goes back to Cleveland and does one off in Cleveland.
and they
But if they win a couple, it's like then he retire. You know, at some point, like I could see that.
I think that at the short long end game is the short end game is playing with his son, I believe.
Yeah.
Mm.
40-year-old LeBron goes back to Cleveland. They draft Bronny Jr. and they win a championship in Cleveland.
Dude, the way the
One more
prospects are lining up, Bronny might even be
man.
like the 10th best player.
Cleveland to unburn his
fifth
jersey
best
one more
player.
time and rep him one more time. I mean, I like that fandom, but I've never seen such a chaotic let's burn his jersey and let's do and then let's
Now we love him
and then let's
again.
burn it. And then at one point back then when he left, Josh Cribbs became the guy who was on the billboards that everyone loved, and it was like he's now nobody, but he was your star returner at the time, who was the biggest thing you had.
They should
Like,
just put Machine Gun Kelly up on that wall and call it a day.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. Worst contract
Yeah.
of free agency thus far. I'm going Chris Middleton.
oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I have nothing to say.
We were talking about this last night actually a little bit, and it's a weird thing. I get it, man. And they lost. Here's the thing: they had the money. They lost Mirotic. So they weren't. They have to cover that a little bit.
Well, and
Yeah.
I think
Well,
I should
and
just
that's-
mention
all right.
KD's contract.
And that's the
briefly.
biggest argument is Chris Middleton's going to have a better year than Kevin Durant. So
That's fair.
Well, yeah.
But-
now, what if it's a extremely healthy Kevin Durant?
well, I mean, yeah, but that's not what we're getting. We're getting
Well,
a
that's very
33
But
33-year-old.
now, what do you think? Like, would you want? I mean, I get the money is the biggest issue here, but the years to me, like 4 years for that money, like you said, I don't know if he makes it to that fourth. Like, or would you want
It's
to see
essentially
a
a 3-year contract. If he plays it all next year, it won't be till what? The NBA
The
playoffs.
dude.
Well, and the
I
thing
doubt
is,
he'll even
imagine,
play at
like
all.
I always relate knee things. I mean, I've minorly messed up my knees and they now suck. I can't imagine going through major everything, regardless of being what kind of an athlete. When you mess up stuff, things are not the same. And I always relate back in the day to Gilbert Arenas. Gilbert Arenas at one point was a great player, and he kept getting destroyed, had knee injuries, and just extremely went downhill. Now I think KD's way better than that, but my thing is, if he comes back and gets hurt again, is that contract immediately then you lose him another year if he tears something, or then if he comes back and he's amazing and he does good for 2 years, there's wear and tear issue. I mean, but it's a lot of money and a lot of years that you're banking on.
I mean, that's a fair point.
But at what dollar amount would you
It's-
say he'd be worth if not that? You know what I mean?
He's
I
totally
get,
worth that money. Normal KD,
Right.
Is he going to be worth that money for post?
well, and I even
post
thought
injury
like
KD.
Klay Thompson's was a little bit even too high because he also destroys his knee.
But at least guys have come back from that.
Oh no, they do. But I'm just saying, still, it's a lot.
And his
but
game isn't
wasn't
predicated
his-
on bounce.
Well, wasn't his 5 years though? I thought too.
It is.
Which once again, I'm thinking I get everything in length in the contract, but to me, it's what if he's out in 3 for some reason, or what if he injures it again 2 or 3 years down the road? I think it was 5 years, 119 or 129, something.
191,
Like that.
5
Oh, it was even
190.
way more than that. I knew there was a 9 in there, but
Yeah, it was
I couldn't-
190.
I didn't even think it
But
would
see,
be that.
but
That
that's-
sounded way too high. That's insane to me.
That goes back to, like, for me, I'm going to take KD and Clay out of it just for the injury reasons. I get
Makes
that.
sense.
I get that those contracts, obviously,
There has
that's
to
a
be
stipulation in
skepticism.
there that you're taking a chance. I think just based on healthy players that we know of, 5 years, 178, I think it was the deal for Chris Middleton.
That's got to be what. Yeah.
I mean, so you're
way
telling
too
me
high.
Chris Middleton's should be making Klay Thompson money?
Well, and even to another one, I think I just saw that was still even available. Is Danny Green? Is he not signed still?
Pretty sure he's going to go wherever Kawhi lands.
So he's waiting for
I
kind of
I
Kawhi
think
in
that's,
theory.
and I think that might
Well,
be
I
why
saw
this
a
deal
rumor
has.
to that, but then I was surprised. Like I know a lot of people like him. I know he's out there doing great things, and I thought maybe he'd go somewhat early. But then he's still that one name, probably on the top. I'd say left of. I could be wrong, but at least top 2 free agents that are left out there. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
one,
he's
Kawhi
definitely one
aside.
of them.
Kawhi aside.
And
I'm
Morris.
putting Kawhi at the Lakers already.
Markieff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. I think Danny Green's going to go wherever Kawhi
And I
goes.
think that's probably why this is taking some time.
So
and
at
you got to
that point,
remember the 4th
to-
of July is
to your
coming
point
up.
too,
Teams,
yeah. That's true.
people go away. People are on vacation. Like I'm not making that as an excuse to why he can't land.
Right.
You should just do the solid and sign regardless. But if they might have to iron something out where they can get Danny Green in the building too, and agree to something with him as well. Maybe that's the
Well, and that
stipulation.
ties into what you mentioned earlier when you say they're trying to work on maybe something under max where they can bring in other people and someone like a Danny Green can make sense where they work out the contracts together. And they shop their entire other team. So it's like, or the whole rest of their team, I should
Yeah.
say. Like the Wizards took 3 of them. And it's like you're building around now those 4 or 5 components. And then who knows? I don't even know a bench player at that point. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone's going to care because it's the big 4 or 5 of them. Like, not even just a big 2.
Who
or
wants to
3.
go try out for the Lakers tomorrow?
I'm in. So I mean, I
make
used to
some money.
JD, you coming?
I used to ball back in the day. 7th, 8th, 9th.
You
10th
said no.
grade.
Why?
Because they don't need me.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yes,
He's holding
they'll
out.
be fine. They don't need you.
He's holding out for the Vegas basketball team coming
Yeah.
soon.
I'll take your question, and I will just take it in a little bit of a different angle, because I thought what we got right there was good. I'll back up to what I said earlier too, and just with what the Knicks did was just.
That's enough said.
That's the
here's-
face that every single Knicks fan in
here's-
America is
here's
making
the
the
thing.
last
Not to
2
mention
days.
the Knicks fan who, if you guys saw, tattooed Zion Williamson to the Knicks when they were guaranteed to get him allegedly. That was dumb, but
Memories.
Here's the thing I don't get.
Memories.
I understand not paying Kevin Durant the full amount of money.
absolutely.
However, when you have been this insignificant for this long,
Ever.
and you need to try to do something to create some type of hype train, how on earth do you come up short?
Yeah.
Like, if it sounds like he would have signed if they offered the max.
I get that.
And to
I don't
me,
think
but
he
I
would've.
honestly don't believe that.
and to me, I just don't get how the
No.
Knicks don't even make that don't even let that be an opportunity. Don't even give that
Yeah.
a chance.
Well, and to your point, I just don't. Honestly, I remember as a kid Patrick Ewing and liking the Knicks, or they were that big team. The idea of Madison Square Garden, and yeah, they signed Carmelo, and I get that brought a little bit of like, oh, maybe he'll do a little something. But I don't think I've ever once been excited for the Knicks in the last 10 years that I
No,
can
but
remember.
every year they pump their chest like what they're doing is
Oh, I hear big things in the offseason, you know.
transcending the
Absolutely.
NBA, and
Well, at one
this
point
is
it was
our
Kyrie
year.
and Durant maybe to the Knicks, and then it was like let's build around, and then no, they go to the Nets and then other people. Why is everyone avoiding the Knicks? Well, I don't know. It's the Knicks.
Ownership,
or are they?
man.
Well, the other thing is, are they just deliberately messing up? Are they not pursuing who they should pursue? Are they? I mean, even to your point, the people they got, I'm not impressed with anybody. I don't. I don't see them doing.
The
their
only
thing.
reason they got Julius Randle is because nobody else would pay him. Pay him.
Pay him
dude.
Yeah.
that money that he got.
But even then, like Taj Gibson's been everywhere. I mean, there's other guys that honestly don't.
They gave Randle $20 million a year.
Taj is a good role player.
Oh, no,
he's
he's
going to be a
good, but
great
I mean,
veteran
he-
presence, but he's not
fit
going
in,
to.
but
He's not gonna
he's
help you
leading
anymore.
anywhere.
No,
he's
he's
not
not-
leading you.
He's not going to help you
He'll
anymore.
give you some valuable minutes, but it isn't like
Yeah, hold up. You're gonna tell me they gave Julius Randle 3 years, $63 million. They couldn't call up DeMarcus Cousins and offer him the same deal. You don't think DeMarcus Cousins would have taken that deal? I think
would
he
think
would
he
have.
Is he still available?
He's
Yeah,
still
he
a free
is.
agent.
I thought
yeah.
he was. I thought he might have went somewhere, but I wasn't sure.
I don't even want.
Where's he maybe going?
Hopefully, get back to the Warriors.
It's gonna be surprising. He's gonna get offered a contract somewhere.
Lithuania.
Yeah.
Not a real one.
Oh, it's gonna be a shit contract, but
MLE 1 year somewhere.
yeah.
He can't, dude. I don't even want him to come to Lakers on that. I don't want him.
No.
I don't want him. I hate him.
I just hate him. I hate him.
He's cancer.
But I don't get how the Knicks don't throw 10 mil a year at him for free.
Over Julius
just
Randle.
just to get him.
Come
there.
on, bro.
Julius
Well,
Randle
Or Taj Gibson.
They have
Dude.
to have money available when you think about it. I mean,
They
what are
did.
doing-
They
what are
had.
they doing
They,
with it?
dude, they had a
money
bunch.
available.
They had money.
Like-
They had a max offer. They could have given KD a max.
Dude, they balked.
2 minutes. They had two.
They had 2 max contracts.
Yeah, and then instead they gave Wayne Ellington and Taj Gibson DeMarcus Cousins money. It's like it's laughable, man, what they're doing. I'm surprised
I
they
feel-
didn't screw up and miss on RJ
Dude,
Barrett.
I feel real. You know what? And I feel bad for Knicks fans. I do.
How
Like
can you even be a Knicks fan?
It's getting
that's
harder,
terrible,
I
man.
believe,
That's
honestly.
terrible. Like every team eventually
That's why
goes
you
into
see
some type of
bags
rut.
on the heads of the fans in the stand. I get it's a cliche thing to do, but I think they genuinely wear it. They want to. They're like, hey, they suck.
So Chris Middleton did get a lot of money. He got an obscene amount of money.
$35 million a year.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Can
That's ungodly.
That's a lot of money for
I can't even contemplate what to do with it.
I like Chris Middleton
for a
lot.
guy I
Oh,
wouldn't
the dude's
even.
great, and when you consider he's healthy, no injury, like we were talking about everything about KD and everything, injuries. Yeah, the dude's great, but that's so much money for someone, whether he's great or not, whether he.
What's he? A 2-time All-Star? This year?
How long has he-
One-time
how long has he
All-Star.
been in the
One-time
league?
All-Star.
We're talking-
How many 3-point shooting contests has he won?
We're talking about
Zero.
a guy
Goose egg.
who wouldn't even get drafted into like the 6th or 7th round in our 2K fantasy drafts.
That's not true either. He's a top 30 player.
See, I would-
Okay, maybe
I-
round 4,
Well, I was thinking round 3 in my own head, but
but
I've
even
been out
round
of the
4
NBA.
doesn't.
I love my
doesn't-
fantasy, but I've
that
been out of
doesn't
NBA
earn
for a little
35
bit.
million a year. Was he rated an 82?
No, but a lot of it, dude, you got to understand, a lot of it has to do, in MMA, they talk about styles make fights. And in NBA and the player for salaries, I feel like the team situation makes contracts a lot of the times, too. The Bucks are in a situation where Mirotic just left to go back to Europe. Brook Lopez just bounced. He re-signed?
And Robin.
No, it was Brogdon just bounced.
Brogdon
they
bounced.
had to spend the money, and they had money to spend.
But see, I feel like they
And all they did was extend him. It's not like they paid for a free agent, so they didn't hamstring
Well-
themselves. They just rolled over the 4.
yeah,
So
but I feel like they had
it
to know
is
some
it
of
is
those
too
guys
much
were-
money. Let's not get away from it. It's too
Way
much
too
money.
much.
But
Signed extension. He was unrestricted free agent.
was he?
Oh.
So
Still,
is
it's
that a
lot
super
of
max?
money, though.
Yeah, he was all NBA last year.
Well, and even Knicks aside, though, briefly, like talking about just money, I know that I think the Sixers
What are you gonna do?
offered Simmons
We're
max
gonna
money.
I'm not gonna sit here and
I don't know
talk
if
shit
anyone's
about
worth
Chris
all that,
Middleton
you
for
know?
I don't mind
for
Chris
getting
Middleton.
his money.
I don't
I'm
mind
not
it at all.
hate-
and I like him as a player.
I think
and
he's a decent player.
But I mean,
he
he's gonna
played
help him.
himself into this. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, it sucks, but
I
like,
just think they overpaid for
I
a
just
guy
think- yeah.
that they could have gotten the same production from with anybody on that
Few of
list.
the other people, yeah, absolutely.
Worst contract.
Well, the other thing is, anyone really worth all that money? I honestly have a hard time believing a lot of the players outside of the top like 3
not many.
are in the entire league. Like,
tell me they
a lot
couldn't
of people are
sign-
overpaid.
You tell me they couldn't have signed Bogdanovich and fucking JJ for the exact same amount of money they signed Chris Middleton for? Like, I think that's a much better idea, franchise-wise,
bringing in 2 instead of 1, you know,
that are going to give you the same production that Chris Middleton is.
Maybe not for the same period of time, maybe, but a lot of it too is you don't want to upset your fans, right? There's probably a lot of internal pressure to like we can't.
See,
Dude,
that big of a, you think he's that big of a star in Milwaukee?
no,
we just let Brogdon go. Like
That's true.
Like we just like.
But that should be like. the
I'm just
thing you
trying to
consider,
justify
though.
Yeah,
it
I
because
get-
I
I know
like
what
the
you're trying to do.
player
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
understand how these things work.
get what
Like
you're saying.
it's too much money.
And
But
that's what I'm saying.
what should it have been though? So like what 130 then? Is that reasonable?
I don't think he should have made anywhere
Like
over
I said, I think
like
anyone
20,
would,
20
anyone would
million
have
a
issue
year.
with any of the money.
He's,
So
I can see a
100
$20 million a year guy. I can see that, but 35?
Well, Reggie Jackson's a $20 million a year guy.
That was a terrible contract for him. He's a $10 million a year guy. But I'm
how
not.
much,
I'm not
how much did
disagreeing-
Ricky Rubio? All right, dude, motherfucking. Julius Randle is a $20 million a year guy. I'd rather have Chris Middleton at 25 or 30 than.
To your point, maybe
Julius
35 was
Randle.
a bit too high, but maybe 30 was ideal at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Just-
but honestly,
it's
I don't
a
think
tough
anyone.
I think you're right.
It's a tough thing to nitpick on these guys, man.
Be happy
They
no matter what.
Kudos to the agent, bro.
You wouldn't be
I
happy.
mean,
either
yeah,
way.
hey, you know, he's making his money. I'm not hating on Chris Middleton. He's going to be a
Well, that's who you
solid
wanna be,
player
is the agent, really.
for yeah, no, right?
That motherfucker
How do
got
I-
that motherfucker got
How do I get to
10%.
be that guy?
That's not a great one either.
Was it 117? 4 years
Wow.
For who? For
for
D'Angelo?
D. Russell.
Yeah. Now, what about the idea of the trade, though? Is that the biggest thing that they're going for? Is that the exact rumor? Is that a rumor?
It
Is
just
that
depends on what do they get in return.
That's true.
They're talking about a pick in Andrew Wiggins.
That's terrible.
I think Russell's
like
a much better,
Andrew Wiggins,
much better
but
player
I
for
think
the long
Russell's-
term.
Yeah.
Huh?
That's good.
You think it's good?
A. Wiggins with the Warriors is a good fit.
I like
Oh,
Wiggins, too.
Well, with Iguodala leaving, I understand needing a little bit more. Like
Oh, that's
needing,
who's going to the
needing
Lakers
this-
too. We forgot about him.
Who?
Iggy.
He's
gonna
gotta get bought
he's gonna
out
get
first.
bought out,
He's
and
gotta
then
get
he's going
bought
to go
out
to the
first.
Lakers.
And Corver.
But you know,
Probably.
everyone's so
Well,
quick.
Corver and LeBron played in Cleveland. It would make a little sense.
Everyone's
And
so quick to say D'Angelo Russell won't fit with the Warriors. And I'm not saying you anyway, but like,
I'm interested to
I
see how
kinda
they
like
make it
it,
work.
though. I
he's
mean,
a
I'm
better
interested.
he's a
He's
better
a young dude
better
with,
player than Andrew Wiggins to me.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young dude with Steph Curry, and you have other people to build. I mean, I think it'd be interesting, honestly, but it all depends on how well they play, together and how well they click. I mean, even back in the day when LeBron and Bosh and Wade, it took them a minute to play together. I mean, it takes everybody a minute to understand how to play and how. But I mean, I'd love Steph Curry as a teammate. I'd take that any day.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not going to hate where he's going.
It's
That's
just
for sure.
crazy to me that that Russell would sign that deal and then be shopped
Right.
24 hours afterwards. It's like
That's just
you're going to tell me that he probably, dude, if that's the case, the Warriors probably swindled him too, man.
Yeah.
He knew.
They told him so.
Why would he other teams could have offered him more. Why?
But I mean, if he ends up going
You're
where he
telling me-
wants with who he wants,
So
I don't
then
think
what?
he
I mean,
cares.
so what? The Lakers and Kawhi, that's done then, because he was going to get max from the
In
Lakers.
theory, it all could be done. They all could be ending up there. Lakers are going to trade with the Warriors. Kawhi goes there. It's like they get everyone get a super five of a team somehow, and it'll be
They
like
weren't going to even offer D'Angelo until Kawhi's picked.
So what you're telling me right now is the Lakers starting five coming October is going to be D'Angelo Russell, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Anthony Davis.
No,
Who said that?
I thought didn't someone say that
minus
D'Lo was
Danny
going to get
Green.
traded to the Lakers?
They have nothing to trade.
no, they've got nothing to trade.
Well,
for.
no, but that was the rumor though. Right now, even what I just even saw via ESPN was like that. The whole trade thing is: are the Warriors going to shop him even to the Lakers? Was the idea.
They don't have anybody to trade.
Well,
him.
no, that's what I didn't understand it, but that was like the last
won't.
minor
Let me-
headline I saw.
Let me just throw this out here just for the hypothetical conversation that we're having right now. A future first round pick, Kyle Kuzma for D'Lo. You Lakers fans taking that?
You got to give him another pick, probably. Yeah,
But do they have picks to give up at this point?
You figure they got to,
they
right?
probably have one
Well,
more.
they've traded the world. I mean,
that's true.
Honestly, I don't know a Laker outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, minus
And Kuzma.
Kuzma.
and then
That's
probably
it.
Kawhi Leonard. You know what I mean? Which
No,
I'm-
those are the only three on the roster.
Well,
That's
I mean,
it. There are
my
no
issue
more.
is no knock to the Clippers, but I don't believe there was ever any hope of Kawhi going to the Clippers. But I think they're considered because
I think
LA's
Clippers
there.
fans had hope.
No, I get that. but
Their
I'm just saying,
chances fell apart the moment the
if you're
Lakers
considering
freed
the
up the max
Lakers,
money.
The Clippers are just automatically in consideration. They're there. They're both there. You know what I mean? I just feel like most times I've seen a person considering Lakers, you see Clippers right there. And I just don't know if they're always really considering it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I would be more surprised than anything in the world at him going there compared to Lakers or Toronto.
It's going to be interesting. We still got a couple more days of free agency, so some more
Yeah, I
stuff's
mean,
going to shake down.
We're gonna have things popping off
Yeah.
over, for the next month or so. Still.
Do we want to hit anything else before we segue into a little bit of baseball and before we get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, just as far as the guys that have signed extensions, Damian Lillard, Ben Simmons, and
I like that.
Porzingis have all re-upped with their teams.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
think
good.
That all
the
makes
Blazers are
sense to
doing
me.
a great job.
Lillard's great.
They're doing
I
what
love them.
they're
yeah.
doing what they have to. I'm afraid they're going to be kind of just
I thought the Whiteside deal was a little interesting to say the least.
lost in the wash here. I don't think the Blazers are going to be able to get over the hump. But
I think that was the biggest flash in the pan was Hassan Whiteside.
yeah,
I mean, overall, too, I think the one
stole a
general
bunch of money.
consensus is like waiting to see how some of these injured people do. You know, that's what a lot of people are waiting on.
Yeah. All right, so moving into baseball before we hit out of here. First and foremost, everybody here at Grip and Rip It, we posted it last night up on our social media page. We would like to give our condolences to the Skaggs family and the Angels organization and baseball as a whole.
Absolutely.
Rest in peace, Tyler Skaggs. It's a damn shame. There's really nothing more else to say than that, man.
Yeah,
For that to happen,
to come through, and then I think I saw more info when I then, actually got here and watched some of the stuff on ESPN. But no, I think he didn't even pitch even just last.
He pitched on Saturday.
That's what. Yeah, I thought he had just pitched recently too. Yeah. So it's 100% a shock to me. I mean, I know I don't know much about him. I'm not a big fan, but it's like
27 years old just to randomly
anyone that young
age,
for
man.
whatever. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's someone younger than me, and it's like close to my age, and it's like, dude, you just were out there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, to me, it's I can't imagine the
brings
the
you
family,
back
the
down
fans.
to earth a little
Yeah,
bit.
it does. I
It
mean,
reminds you that those guys are human too.
oh, 100%.
You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, there's always those little things out there where it's like you see even some of the times where it's the boating accident or something with the one Marlins pitcher.
Jose
or-
Fernandez.
Yeah, and even recently
That
with
one
David
hurt.
Ortiz, the shooting down there in Dominican Republic. I mean, yeah, they're all athletes and maybe they're retired, maybe they're home, maybe they're on vacation, but accidents happen or who knows what's going on in your own body and stuff happens. And it's like, even for me, like I've always been a WWE fan deep down. And more recently, Roman Reigns had came out with leukemia, and he actually took a real note, which on WWE is unheard of because it's all scripted and everything. But he said his real name and said his own personal thing and left for a while for I think it was 6 months to battle with leukemia. But it was such a real note that for every person there, you don't ever view that. For kids, it's like back when we watched Stone Cold, and you're watching your heroes, you're watching people, you're watching entertainment, it's wrestlers. But to see someone that you see every day that allegedly is very athletic or everything go down with that real life situation, it's like they're people too, and it makes you be happy for your own situation. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't imagine the organization, the family, the fans. It's just it's a shocker.
They got to play today too, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah,
that is going to be tough, man. And just from personal experience, and I wasn't there when it happened. It was the year after I left. But, I had a teammate when I was in college pass away, and couldn't imagine, the team that year after that happened that he was playing with.
Not at all.
That shit ain't. That's tough, man. That's tough. So rest in peace. Our condolences to the Skaggs family again and the Angels organization.
Play for him.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what you have to do in that situation.
Play for him. He would want everybody to be out there just playing as hard as they can every day anyways. So one other thing I want to mention in the baseball realm is that the Yankees have signed their most lucrative prospect of all time. The guy's nickname is the Martian, and his name is Jason Dominguez. He's a 16-year-old center fielder from the Dominican Republic. Yeah. Center fielder, and switching center fielder, 16 years old.
Wow.
So I'm immediately wanting to know when he's going to be ready to make it to the show.
So
we're
I'll
probably
see
looking like
him-
3 years,
Yeah, I was
right?
gonna say
You gotta think
19-year-old
3 to
coming up,
4.
groomed.
Those
Yeah.
16-year-olds usually get up around 19, 20. If
That's
he's up
someone
earlier,
to
then
look
I'd be
for.
surprised. But
Well, and speaking of
So-
the Yankees, are they still on that home run streak, or did
Yeah.
that end?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
they
been
are.
29 games.
they just
or
scored
30
50
games?
runs combined in
Well,
2 games
in
with
London, it was freaking
the
30,
Yankees and
30
Red
runs
Sox.
scored, 17, 13.
They hit the over in the first inning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
6
well,
and 6.
each team went through 8 pitchers.
Then the next game it was 12-8.
Oh, jeez. I didn't even see the one. I just was like, well, and I didn't notice I guess I didn't pay attention too much. I didn't know they even went to London until they were there. I know it's been the big thing with the NFL and everything, but like, I'm cool to see it over there. But I was just
Yeah, it
like,
was
when I
cool.
saw that score, that's an NFL score. The hits were even like 18 to 19, I think.
The
so.
fans seem to embrace it for
Oh yeah.
for hating America the perception is.
They love all the sports. Even like my dad always says, like my dad was always there back in the days, lived back in the U.S. now for 20 some years, but with going back there, he's always said that the fans there just love their sports, so it's like, that's why you see, they're not wearing the right jerseys all the time, but people there do like football. They will go to it. Baseball's everywhere. They will go to it. You know what I mean? Like, and whether they like the players, whether they like just the team, it'll have that draw there,
Yeah.
But I was like, and what better rivalry? You have Yankees, Red Sox go over there. I mean, but they put on a show. I mean, like I said, I think the one game was 30 runs and 37 hits that they combined for.
Yep,
as a team.
it was insane.
Real quick to touch on that Jason Dominguez thing. All of the teams you probably know have a pool of money that they can allocate
Yeah, you have
to
international pool
international
money.
prospect players. and that dollar figure is $5.4 million, and they allocated 5.1 of it to one
Oh
guy.
shit! They gave it all to him. Huh?
They gave it all to 95% of their
So
pool
this
to
is like
one.
a really big Dominican prospect
It's
coming
like
up.
Guy,
it's
yeah.
the guy. Yeah, they gave up
Interesting.
all of their other guys that they were looking at to get this one guy in.
I
here,
know the
so-
White
Now
Sox.
we
We
gotta
got
wait and see,
we got Elijah Tatis. We had Fernando.
Is that his brother?
Fernando.
Yeah, it's Fernando Tatis Jr.'s brother, who also was a White Sox prospect.
Well, yeah. Well, and even then, the White
Fun
Sox in
fact.
general have a lot of young talent. They have
yeah.
a lot of. I mean,
got
if
a-
they're a promising team coming up there, there were a lot of. I would have a lot of hope.
Dylan Cease coming up on Wednesday, baby.
Hey.
Can't fucking wait.
What else do we have?
Anything baseball wise, other than just hit a couple things. So baseball world, we've got All-Star break coming up next week. So we are about 95 games through the season.
Yeah.
Crazy to think about that
insane.
we're, after All-Star break, you have the rest of July, August, September, and then it's playoff time.
That's it. Yeah.
We're getting right there.
So things are really starting to shape up. Just to maybe go over a little bit of the standings. We've got the AL East. Looks like it's still the AL East championship is still up for grabs between the Yankees and the Rays. Red Sox, I mean, if the Red Sox would have to make a real push while at the same time the Rays and the Yankees would both have to severely fall off. Yankees have an 11-game lead on the Red Sox and a 6.5-game lead on the Rays.
I mean, they're
It's
just
insane.
on a roll. I mean, that's just.
They don't lose. They're 54-28 right now. It's insane. The Central looking like it's probably going to be the Twins. They've got an 8-game lead on the Indians and a 13-game lead on the Sox. The West looks like that one's still a little bit up for grabs. Houston's got a 6.5-game lead on the Rangers and a 7-game lead on the A's. And then wild card, we're looking at about a 7-team race with the Rangers, the Rays, the Indians, Oakland, Boston, the Angels, and the White Sox. Everything else after that is 10 games plus.
Jeez.
National League, we've got Atlanta leading the East by 5.5 games. Washington 7 games back, so still a little bit of a race there.
They're dead.
The Central is
They're hanging on for now, but.
what I thought was going to be one of the strongest divisions in baseball this year, and maybe it's the most competitive, but definitely not the strongest, is the Central.
Yeah.
They are tightly packed.
It's unreal.
Brewers are up 1 game on the Cubs,
Yep,
and 3.5 games on the Cardinals, and 5 games on the Pirates, and 6.5 games on the Reds. That's every team in the NL Central.
Well, and now I know Pirates are playing Cubs, so you have that going on currently.
And they beat the shit out of them last
Yeah, it
night.
was a
Go
bunch
Pirates.
no horseshit. Cubs, Cubs all the way. It was the new guy though. He's got to
I've
get
seen
rocked
that.
once. I mean, he was beloved in his debut. He's got to get rocked once, but let's rebound from that. But you can't knock Josh Bell. I mean, you think he homered 3 times?
He
that
did.
game.
4
that's
hits,
my-
3
that's
home
my-
runs, 7
That's my
ribbies.
dude to win the home run derby right there. I mean, that dude's playing at
He's
an
a
insane
monster,
level.
man.
But that division, to your point, is just unreal. I mean, the Brewers team with Yelich, and then the Cubs, Cardinals.
I thought it was going to be.
Pirates.
It's like
And you can't sleep on the Pirates. I mean, for 21 years they had a losing record, and now they're doing some interesting things. I mean,
I thought
but-
they were going to be a better conference, though. Like, yeah,
I agree.
it's
It was a
tight,
power
and it's
conference,
a
but they're-
great race that they're going to have set up going into the last couple months here. But
But I think it's kind of like
none of
the
those teams really impressed me.
It's like the NFC East in football where they just beat up on each other
Well,
all
but now
year.
here,
Okay.
that is true though.
Like,
Because
I'll give you that.
Well, you saw what Dallas did in the playoffs after being in a very close divisional race at one point. But my thing is, that division alone, the Cubs, you saw them start out. I believe it was 2-9, and then they went on a 15-2 streak and turned that around. So it's like one of these teams could start a 10-game win streak and kind of pull away a little bit, or maybe 2 of the teams could. But it isn't that power division. It's more that they're all good and they're all okay right now. I mean, the records
beating
are all
up-
like,
beating
what are
up
the
on each
records?
other.
Like 42-37, 41-36.
Cubs
like,
45-40.
all like 5 or 6.
St. Louis
games off.
41-41. Pittsburgh 40-43. Cincinnati's 38-44.
All
They're all
few
right
games,
around,
yeah.
hovering right above or right below 500, essentially. And the wild card in the National League, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, I could see that.
There's at least 7 teams, that looks like I'm counting here, 7 to 8 teams that are separated by 3.5 games or less. The most being the Marlins, who are pretty much out of it, and the Giants are 7 games back. Like, the entire National League seems like
Well,
it's
we
kind of
still
up
have-
for.
We still have what, 90 games left? No, 80 games.
Well, that's what
80-some games.
There,
80
there-
games.
there's
There's
a
there
long
should be
time
about
for a
5
team
this
to
week.
take a run. You know, who knows who's getting injured after the break, or who knows who's coming back and getting hot. I mean, like when you talk about the Cubs, for example, Chris Bryant was playing terrible. He made the All-Star game again. Everyone loves him. I get it. But he was playing bad, switches bats, has the axe handle bat, and starts crushing balls, batting 10 times better. I mean, you'll see a player who was hot start getting cold. You'll see a player who was cold start getting hot, and it might turn one of those teams around to stand out a bit. But I like that some of the races are close, though. It gives more to watch. More
It
to
is.
play for.
It is fun when the races are
you mentioned
close.
the Yankees are the ones. Oh, it's an 11-game lead. That's over. It's been over. Who's coming back from that? Nobody. But that division, for example, is.
The American League teams are pretty much fighting for a wild card,
Yeah.
essentially, if you're not winning your division at this point.
Well, and Cubs stock-wise, the Crosstown Cup just happened, and
And
it
it's
was split
coming
1-1. Now
it's
it's
split
coming
1-1,
back
and we're
again.
coming back to Comiskey
So,
now Saturday, Sunday, I think?
which is U.S. Cellular, which is then guaranteed rate field, which I
Comiskey.
mean, yeah, no one gives it. It's like Sears Tower. It's not Willis Tower.
I'll accept the sell. I'll
Yeah, the
accept if
sell.
you call it the sell, but I
Guaranteed
won't
rate
accept anything
field.
else.
No, not at all. But I was impressed because the game the Cubs were heavily favored. The Sox took it. Then with Giolito?
Giolito came out.
I didn't know how to pronounce it exactly, but dude, that guy's a stud. I mean, potential Cy Young maybe. And then he loses that game, and it was like, man, I know they'll split probably, but
that
I
game
had the
hurt.
games reversed a bit. I
And
thought
it
it
was.
would be a win and then a loss, and
I
then
thought
it was a
Nova
loss
would get
and a win.
shelled, and then Giolito would come out and deal. And Giolito didn't have a bad game per se. Stat wise, it didn't. He wasn't hitting his spots, and it was really one bad inning and a couple calls that that didn't go his way. That Lester was getting 2 to 3 inches with his cutter off the outside corner, and Giolito was hitting the corner and not getting them. And then he left one pitch right down the fucking cock to Wilson Contreras with the bases loaded.
Dude, and that, you talk about a season, that guy is having a season. I think it's the most home runs from a catcher at this point in time. I mean, anytime he's up to bat, it's like something can happen.
He hit 2 that game.
dangerous.
I mean, yeah, everyone loves Rizzo. Everyone loves Bryant. They can all go off. You have your Jason Hayward occasionally gets a pinch hit.
Javi
but-
Baez, bro.
Well, I didn't mention
Oh
just for the
God!
reason
Don't even
of-
get me started with Baez.
I do
love
him,
Javi
but
Baez, man.
I do love him. I love him. I can't
Most
say-
I can understand
overrated
why
player in the league.
No.
He just everyone jumped on that, but no. My overall point is like I'm a little bit off of like Schwarber even for example, but I mean Willie, the dude's just a stud. I mean, and even the other guy Carantini, you can't. He's been playing great as well, but for the catcher to have those home runs, and I mean overall, I think the Cubs had the most home runs up to this point in their entire franchise
Well, you
history.
don't see catchers hit for a lot of power, so there's not a lot.
I don't know the exact number. I think it's a 17 he's at maybe or something like that. It's right around the 17, 18 mark.
So,
Which
real quick, I guess we should do a Cubs watch because we haven't done one in a couple weeks. So we'll put that right here. Cubs is exactly.
I need
It works.
my Rizzo jersey.
It
right
works
now.
out well having
I'm
a Cubs
battling
fan
the
here
Sox first.
from Chicago.
Cubs all day.
Cubs are 1 game behind the Brewers in the Central right now at 45-40. Still overrated in my book. Playing a lot of easy teams and losing to
That
them.
whole Central is so easy.
They can't beat the
Yes.
Reds any.
Yeah, they can't
Hold
beat
on
the
a second.
Reds.
Let's
They
go
can't
back
even beat
to
the Reds now.
Wait,
They were
let's-
beating the Reds all in the beginning of the season. They've lost the last 3 series of the Reds now, I
just want
think.
to rewind a bit when it was the Central was such a competitive division and it was one of the top ones allegedly maybe.
That's
and
what I
now
thought
it's
it was gonna
Oh,
be.
they're playing a lot of easy teams out there. Yeah, the Cardinals are easy every time at home. And the
Cardinals are
easy
struggling,
away.
dude.
It's
the
fitting.
Brewers are easy away and at home all the time.
Whatever fits the anti-Cubs narrative.
Exactly. If there's one thing for sure is I will definitely do that.
I
but
will say though, I love sports my entire life, and moving to that city, it was amazing to watch the Cubs win the World Series. To be out, I was right in front of Wrigley and all the chaos and everything, and it was absolutely amazing. But growing up and even looking at a lot of the rivalries out there, just to see the Sox and the Cubs, the battle, like you can't live there and not like one, and you can't say you like both. And they have crosstown bar battles and burger battles, and like you show up in that and Wrigley and you're hated no matter what
Oh, yeah.
situation. You're like, hey, I'm supporting the Cubs. Like the night they won, our one buddy Nick, who Chris would know, the night that they won the NLCS to technically break the curse to go to the World Series. Our one buddy, he went out in his Sox jersey, like, I'm going to go support, No, he almost battled like 20 people because everyone's like, yo, get out of here. Like, no. And it's like, no, I'm supporting the city. No, you can't do that. Like, yeah, you can, but no, you choose.
They don't buy it.
Both
Yeah, you choose.
both sides of the aisle will agree to this. Like, we hate each other, but the one thing we will agree on is anybody that does that shit where they'll wear like front of the shirts, socks, back of the shirts,
No,
Cubs.
get your double shit
You're
out.
the worst. Like, we'll sit here and have a drink and talk shit with each other, but you're not even allowed in the bar. You can go.
There's no, you can wear a Sox hat but a Cub jersey, and you can wear a Cubs hat and a sock. No, I've been to both parks. I've seen the games. And I'm respectful regardless of fans, but no, you can't be a double fan. You can't have a
Best game I ever went to was a Sox Cup game at Comiskey, and Sox won, so it was a great game to go to for me.
They are
but man, it
something.
was a blast. If you just like to go to baseball for atmosphere,
well, and even when they're not the great, like they could both be horrible, no playoff contention, no nothing, and that's an insane game. Then they could both be in the race, and it's an insane game.
I got to see Tim Wakefield pitch in Yankee Stadium.
That'd have been
And
tight.
Yankees fans were throwing peanuts at these Sox fans. It was
See, I just love everything
greatest
about
shit ever.
Even back in the day, I can remember seeing Roger Clemens for the Astros pitch against the Pirates one time. And back then, that was when they were in the same thing in the division. And it's like you always saw the Astros or the Reds, it seemed. Those are the teams you always would go see for whatever reason, unless you planned to go when other teams come in. But it was for whatever reason, you hated him. Or you hated him for who he was or just because they were that team. But no, that rivalry is just such a...
It's a great
It's a
time.
fun thing.
It is a great
Well,
time.
and even then, the atmosphere at Wrigley, I've never been to a baseball game that is it is a party. They cheer a single. They cheer the home run. I mean, it is such an atmosphere that I went with.
It's because they have a whole bunch of people there at the game that aren't actually like Cubs fans or baseball fans, and they get
outta
really
here, dude.
excited
I gotta get him
that
outta
like
here. But
they
no,
get
I
to
mean,
go watch the Cubs
it's,
play.
Well, even then, I will
They're going
say-
to Wrigley, man.
but I
It's
will
so
say-
historic.
I know.
I was at the,
Look at that ivy on the wall, man. It's so
I-
crazy.
I will say, though,
It's such good feng shui.
I was at the game even in the wild card game against the Rockies last year with two buddies of mine.
Didn't you catch the home run ball at that game?
No, that was a different game. I did
Oh,
catch.
okay.
I caught a home run ball, and it was the NLCS against the Dodgers, Game 4, when the Cubs were down 3-0, and no one thought that they would win, or no one wanted to go because the Cubs were down 3-0. So I got a ticket insanely cheap for Game 4 of an NLCS, and
That's
went there.
cool.
And at that point, everyone even cleared out, and it hit to the right and just bounced over, and was like,
See, that's
Ball.
the thing. Is everybody knows my disdain for the Cubs, and that's strictly hometown. Being born on the South Side, being a White Sox
100%.
fan, and you get it. You live there, so you
1,000.
know.
Well, and to be honest, if I moved closer to Sox, I probably could have sided that way. But where I live, it's like
It determines who you root for
you're
normally.
crazy. But I gave both an opportunity, and I was like, I have to cub it up. I mean, 100%, no looking
Terrible
back.
decision. Made the wrong choice.
Best decision, Super Bowl square. Worst decision,
Yeah,
apparently.
being a Cubs
not.
fan.
Cubs
Well, that's
fans.
why I think
But I will say this: I don't know if I have family members that somehow became Cub fans. It doesn't make sense because they're Southsiders too. But I was outside of the sheer fact that I despise the Cubs winning a World Series. I was happy that they at least got to see the Cubs win a World Series.
Oh, for sure.
Because I know that, and I've said this before, and I said it in one of my group chats the other day. One of the greatest experiences of my life was getting to watch probably the team outside of the Bears that I am most loyal to, 100%, diehard fan of, win a championship. You know, one of the greatest experiences, and that's
And you
the
were
one
old
thing.
enough to remember it all, too. You know,
Exactly.
not like, I was 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, no,
No,
you were there.
I do make the joke a lot about there's a lot of fair weather Cubs fans.
Oh,
and they're-
100%. I mean, I'm a transplant fan. You know, I can't say I was a lifelong fan. Some people are, though. But
And
there's
for
a lot
those
of people who
guys,
hop
like,
on.
there's a lot of lifelong fans that have been rooting for the Cubs through all their shitty years, which is a lot of
lot of
really
years.
bad years, and they got to see one. So for them, it's great. Glad that they ever got to see one, but hopefully that's the last one that they get.
Well, in some, it is the only one of their. Like, there was the woman who you guys might all seen get interviewed, 99 years old, never seen one. She was at the games, and then literally when they won to go to the World Series, they interview her and they ask, "What are you going to do tonight?" "Oh, I might go take a shot of Jaeger." I'm like, "Lady, you're 99 and you're going to go rip a shot of Jaeger." Like, yes, that's what I'm going for. But that was the loyalty. I mean, I was out in the streets the night they won. There were 80-year-old people running around. There were 20-year-old people. There were 50-year-old people. And I'll tell you, everyone had fun. There was more destruction going on than when the Blackhawks won the 2 cups that I've seen than when the Cubs actually won.
believe
And I
that.
thought the city was going to burn down because, I mean, it had been 100 years. But no, it was a respectful party everywhere with riot police and craziness. But it was amazing.
But I do want to, because we do have to wrap it up, so we got to get today's biggest piece of shit. But
Do you
you
have
did bring up
somebody?
Javi Baez,
Biggest piece of
and I'm granted it could be Javi Baez, because I despise him.
Next
Because
call.
any Cub is on the
most-
short list for the biggest
we need
piece
an
of shit.
anti-Sox podcast next.
two big reasons I hate Javi Baez. One, I played against his little brother Gotti, who is, I don't respect him at all. They played at a field that had a 208-foot fence. He hit a game-winning home run off of us and took his fucking helmet and tossed it like center field. Actually, no, wait, he punted it because the wind was blowing out that day and he hit about 287. So he can fuck off. And then his brother's no different than him. Javi's a piece of shit who takes a mammo hack every time he gets up to the plate and
love
fucking
it.
flies out the center field and
This
pimps
is
it.
personal.
I
Like,
love
I
it.
am feeling
I love
anger.
it.
I am scared.
But
Once
just
again,
to-
I did not wear my jersey to not get thrown out of here. I wanted to for
You
every
shoulda wore it.
reason.
I
Every
respect
reason.
it.
Yeah.
I will wear it the rest of my trip.
But I want to throw out a great Instagram
The Barstool.
thing that I follow. No, it's the Chicago Cubs Suck Instagram.
Oh,
It's great Instagram. Everybody go follow it if you're a Cubs
Everybody
hater.
go follow. Let's get people going.
He hates Javi Baez as much as I do, I think, and he puts stats up all the time. He's 16th in home runs, 17th in RBIs, 3rd most strikeouts in the league, 44th in average, 101st OBP, 40th in OPS. He's been caught stealing the third most in the league, and he has the 16th most errors in baseball. Ooh. Overrated.
Flashy tag badge.
Overrated.
He's got a flashy tag badge, Dan.
Nobody
Who
knows
cares?
those stats unless you hate the player. I will tell you right now, I love a lot of players, and I do not know half of those stats about them. But I will say, to your point, there are times that maybe in a way he is a bit overrated, but I can't say he has not performed and been a key
Spark
component
plug.
to that team.
I'm sure he's, and I
And
said
they all
this,
fit, though. If you take away a few of them, I don't think they do a lot. But
And
they
I've-
all complement each other, and they all fit in a way where
he
when they're
reminds
hitting-
me a lot of a Draymond Green.
Oh, here we go.
That's actually, dude, that's not a bad comparison.
In a sense of,
I can
for
see
your
it.
team, and if it's your squad and your teammates,
love him.
you'll fucking love the guy.
Or like
because
Manu
he's-
Ginobili.
Everybody outside,
Yeah,
they
he's
hate
a
the
hype
shit out of
train.
him.
He's gonna get you going, and
I
But you hate
everybody
playing
else
against
hates
him.
him.
You hate
and
playing
honestly,
against him.
for a baseball, I mean, I relate a lot of cheering to NFL games or basketball even. But to go to a baseball game and hear him get up to bat when every other player, for no matter who it is, you don't hear the chants for just Javi or let's go Javi, or like literally the stadium is yelling for his name. They don't yell for Rizzo. I mean, maybe a few people do, but the stadium chants for Javi. Like maybe he's not the guy performing every day, but he has that love and admiration of everybody for whatever reason. I mean, he's done a lot of things there, but I've always liked Rizzo as that guy. I mean, that's why I got that jersey. I'm a very particular jersey person because people flip everywhere. That's why I don't get them a lot anymore. But I mean, I get it, but also buy a Sox fan.
I'm not going to deny your claim. I'm just going to say you're wrong. But I do root for Chris. Chris being a hometown guy, knowing
Yeah.
him back in the day, I will always root for Chris for him to
great.
do well.
Yeah,
but everybody
yeah,
else on
yeah.
the Cubs could suck it. Okay, so normally we've gotten to the point in the episode where we would. Normally,
Okay.
we would have.
New
This is the
topic.
point in the episode where we would do today's biggest piece of shit. But due to the circumstances of what happened yesterday, we all came to the conclusion that it would be best to probably keep the biggest piece of shit out because usually, we do it as a joke. It's for fun to make fun of somebody that does something really stupid. But there's some seriousness going on in the sports community today in general. So we decided we would do a shot of Bacardi, which was our drink of choice today, in honor of Tyler Skaggs. And rest in peace to you, buddy.
Cheers.
Chris, thank you for coming out, sir.
Oh, it's been a
It's
pleasure.
been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully one day we can go to a Sox Cubs
You
game
come
in the
up,
future.
we will go to whatever game or Bears, anything. We're going. We'll be rivals, though. I will be in a Cubs jersey. He will be in a Sox jersey, and we will battle.
100%.
I will rep him for any fan, though. I will always have a friend's back. However, I will hate the shit out of you that day.
And I will hate the shit out of you,
And
sir.
I love every minute
And
of
that's
it.
At
how
least
it
it's
should
mutual.
be. Exactly. So thank you,
I
man.
look
Thank you
forward
for
to
coming
it.
on.
Oh, I appreciate you guys having me on. I was really looking forward to it. And
When you hit me up and told me you were coming, I was like, perfect.
yes, no, I was like,
I knew that you'd be down.
I
too.
usually come out, once or twice a year, and it's like if I can be on here, I would love. I was happy to be on here. If I could ever be on again, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a blast. I will be rocking Cubs out the ass next time. But no, it's awesome.
Yeah, man. Just let us know when you're in town, and we'll have this episode
we'll-
up here soon.
Well, yeah. I want to get you back on when we do football again. So
Well, that's the thing is I'm a big sports bettor and I love everything. And coming here during baseball and women's soccer is like, dude, I need to come back during football season again. Like, there's not a lot going on. I mean, baseball is even one thing, but
Well, you guys know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.